Welcome to my office. I'd love to show you around. I'm going to start off first with this Oriental Carpet, which is part of our family's legacy. Marcia's mom had this rolled up in Iowa and asked me, it was in a storage area, and asked me if I wanted to have this. Then she shared with me the story that this carpet was actually in the president's office at Iowa State for Marcia's great-great-grandfather, Seaman A. Knapp, who was the president there. This is a very, very special appointment, and one that I always look at it with great appreciation because it's really a root, so to speak, come from higher education in the last century, and maybe even the century before that as well. Another part of my office that's very special to me is with regards to the fact I'm a chemistry professor. This particular box I discovered many years ago with Henry Matthews. It's an art form created by Bev Seeley, one of our faculty members. Here there's a number of different artifacts, some glassware of course, but this one is kind of neat. This is a Bunsen burner for those that had chemistry in high school, maybe even junior high school, maybe even at home in one of their chemistry sets. This is named after Robert Bunsen. He was a chemist back in Germany, actually, in the late 1800s. And if you go back through the lineage of PhDs that were offered from Bunsen all the way to now, the gentleman I work with was Uli Müller-Westerhoff from Germany. So if you look at that, there was kind of a family tree, so to speak, with the lineage from Bunsen now up to T. Haas, so to speak. Bev Seeley created this for me. It's one of my challenge coins. And on here we have, of course, the Carillon, Grand Valley Blue, and on the back of it is our mission. And I created a number of these to give out to special people during the inauguration that I had back in '06. The history goes on as such that when someone receives a medal, that person would cut the ribbon that was holding on to the medal, would give the medal out to one of the individuals in the crew or the unit that made the mission successful. And that's why on our chest we have ribbon, and then we share this with others. Now the other fun part of this story then, this is called a challenge coin. So if I was to go to a bar and ask someone who I knew was challenged by this coin, having them on their person, if they didn't have it, they would be buying. And so that's the essence, a little smile with the challenge coin. A golfer, because it doesn't happen that often, but I was with a good friend of mine, Jim Mullendorf, and it was back in June of '17. We were down in his plantation where we were able to play golf together, and I had my first ever hole-in-one. And so Jim made sure that I had my scorecard, I had a picture of the golf course and the pole itself, and presented that to me as a gift. So very, very special. A 7-iron from 140 yards, nothing but net. Now the most important part of my office, this is my family. Quite important to me. 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, 5 granddaughters and 1 grandson on the way in February. And of course, this is one of my favorite pictures of Marcia, my best friend forever. We met, it was summer of '70 in Traverse City, Michigan, when she just finished high school and I was on the Mackinac. That's where we met. I volunteered to be an escort, so I've been doing it ever since. In January of '19, we'll be married for 45 years. There's lots of pictures of family, individuals who joined their respective services, me being in the Coast Guard, our son in the Air Force, others in the Coast Guard, Sarah in the Navy, and then Sarah married John, who was also in the Navy as well. But the best part of this whole display is this. I told our granddaughters that my hope in the future was to have a yellow sports car. And one of them said, sure. And I got this as a present and said, Pops, here's your yellow sports car right there. This is pretty special, that's for sure. Through my time here at Grand Valley, we have celebrated our international programs and cooperation. We have a wonderful director with Mark Schaub, who's been able to encourage me to go visit 6 continents to see the program on my philosophy that our students have to be
globally enriched in order to be successful through the next century. What has happened along the way, I have received one honorary degree from Kingston University in the UK, and then one very special one is from the University of Economics at Krakow. What makes it particularly special is that in 1915 my grandparents emigrated from Krakow through Ellis Island to then settle on Staten Island, New York, where I grew up, and then go back in 2015 and receive the honorary degree. That's a pretty special space for me. During my career, I've had the chance to meet presidents, secretaries of state, Madeleine Albright, Hillary Clinton. We have pictures of me with 41, of course, and then his son there with 43, and then Barack Obama here. This was a funny story here. I'm standing with the candelabra that's in that image coming out of my head, and the photographer says, "Dr. Haas, you got to move closer to the president because it really looks strange with that candle coming out of your head." But probably the most important picture here in my mind is this one right here. The opportunity that I've had here at Grand Valley to be with some of the best students that one would ever want at a university. I loved every minute of it, every selfie that we've had together as well. But I put that first and foremost in this array of images. My time in the Coast Guard was very, very special to me. And I love lighthouses, by the way, because that was part of our responsibility to serve the lighthouses here in the Great Lakes. But that's the Mackinac. I served on that during the summer of '70, where it was for training purposes. And this image right here is the Coast Guard cutter Acacia, which was my first unit here out of Port Huron, Michigan. When the board hired me to be the president of Grand Valley, they hired a real Laker. So that's my story, and that's the office.